Welcome to Uncloaked Illusions. I'm Chris Anthony, and I'm coming to you with a little vital update on the Niger ambush. Now, I spoke about this in my last video, I believe, at least about the delivery to the family that was grieving from Donald Trump. Yes, he was a little empathetic about the situation. However, he did express the truth. You do know what you're signing up for when you join the military. And that's globally. Any military personnel, they are aware of this. So you can't get beyond that particular truth. Now, the reports that are starting to surface allege that Johnson potentially disclosed his unit's position. He leaked this information out to the Islamic State, and he gave the squad size, he gave the location, and basically set in motion this ambush. Now, according to a survivor that's remaining anonymous, this particular military personnel pointed out that a Land Cruiser had driven off, and David was actually the driver. Questionable. Very questionable. And it does add up because David's body was found a mile away from the ambush. And that would make one question, why would the particular military personnel leave his squad? Because I do not know the protocol of the military, but I do not misunderstand that particular policy that they have, because my father was in the Air Force, that they cannot leave any other member behind. They all have to basically, if they need to pick that person up and carry them on their back, dead, alive, whatever the case may be, they cannot leave their comrades. Now, what's very interesting about this is how the media is quiet about it. You're not hearing about it. You don't know the backstory. So I'll give you a little bit of that. According to certain sources, David wanted Hillary Clinton to win the election, and he grew very hostile and indignant after Donald Trump had won. He ultimately felt like he didn't want to serve anymore because he felt like the president was racist. Now, this was something that he expressed to some of his comrades. And of course, his friends or whatever they consider themselves to be in the military, they were alarmed by this, because that's their commander-in-chief, and whether they like it or not, they have to accept that. I mean, and it's questionable because Obama promised, that was a campaign promise that he made, was to withdraw the troops from other parts of the world, and in a sense, get us out of Iraq, get us out of Afghanistan, get us out of any global war or war zone that we needed not to be a part of. But of course, he broke that promise. He actually, again, as I've mentioned before, the only president, the first president in history to be at war every single day of his tenure. And he was in the White House for 2 consecutive tenures, meaning 4-year periods. Now, what's very, very intriguing about this entire situation is with his items, with his belongings. They found a letter that he was, I suppose, writing to his wife, expressing how much he hated Trump and how much he wanted to be dishonored, or I'm sorry, I don't think it's dishonored. He wanted to stop being in the military. I forget exactly what they call it, discharged. He wanted to be discharged because he had grown very, very angry of the president. And, you know, you have all these things happening that just basically metastasize, and it intensifies what's going on. You have the Colin Kaepernick situation where he's taking the knee, and then the rest of the rest of the football players that did participate started to do the same thing. Lemmings, they just cannot think for themselves. And one would assume that, you know, when you get hit that hard on a regular basis, maybe there's some mild concussions going on where you really don't understand what's going on, and you may not even see reality the same way. Now, needless to say, moving on from that, I just wanted to give my opinion about it because you don't hear about it at all in the mainstream media. They're quiet about this. But I love how they love to politicize every single thing. You have not heard anything about the other three that perished in this ambush. But you are hearing about this particular story because maybe that's what's going on. Is maybe the president was trying to muster up, displaying or expressing any kind of genuinely nice things to say about someone that he's probably been briefed on was the traitor of that particular squad. Actually, you know, put that ambush in to play. So it's just something to look into, and I'm gonna put this report on my my blog, which is Uncloaked Delusions at WordPress.com. You can follow me on Twitter. You can follow me on my channel with YouTube, and I'm gonna keep bringing you the information as it surfaces, as it's revealed. This was almost like a leak because this is something that's been completely absent in the mainstream media. You know, we have to understand that sometimes people are so disillusioned, and they have an idea, and when you plant that seed, it grows. And people sometimes cannot decipher between reality and fantasy. And that's what we have and what we're dealing with in America right now. Is a great deal of people are easily led. And it's sickening. You know, it's sickening because, again, you just see history and the perspective that I have, and me knowing history, that's all I see. I just see a repeat of what happened in our past, and in the past in general. It's just repeating itself. So comment, you know, subscribe, because I never would say that in any other video, but I definitely love and appreciate some of your comments, and, you know, let's get a conversation going about this. Let's definitely get a conversation going about the media blacking out important information and deciding to politicize and use identity politics almost with every single thing that happens that could be used against this particular president, or used against any particular party and whatever agenda or narrative that they want to spew. We need to wake up. We need to take that red pill and just accept the reality. Yes, reality is not always beautiful, but I would rather reality any day than to live in a fantasy and one day fall off of that cliff because I was not paying attention. Just looked so beautiful ahead. I'm Chris Anthony, and I am out.